Hi everyone, we are Good Games and we are super excited to share with you our capstone project. But before we get into it, we want to do a quick introduction of ourselves and everyone who worked on this project. So my name is Annika Eaton. I was primarily the data expert on the team. I focus mostly on the data extraction, data cleaning, as well as creating all of the machine learning models and connecting them to the app.
Hi, my name is Matt Goulding. I am doing the cybersecurity track within the MISM program. And as part of this capstone project, I was in charge of security, and I also helped out with the feature implementation of the app.
I'm Jackson Secrist. My emphasis in the MISM is development. And for this project, I worked on both front-end and back-end feature implementation, as well as assisting with the infrastructure setup for the app's tech stack.
And hi, I'm Adri Cottle. I'm emphasizing in development in the MISM. And for this project, I helped work on the data collection for our machine learning model, feature implementation and development for our iOS app, as well as overall networking and infrastructure for the different services that we used. So before we really get into this project and learn what Good Games is all about, I want to take you back to a conversation that I had a couple months ago with some coworkers. We were just sitting around, we were talking about video games, we're talking about which games we play, which games we'd want to play, which games we like, what we don't like, and just kind of giving recommendations to each other. And one of my coworkers said, I wonder if there is a Goodreads, but for video games, where you can add games to a shelf, review, and see what other people have said about a game. So we did a quick little Google search and unfortunately came up pretty empty-handed. And so the idea for Good Games was born.
Just like Adri's story, many of our friends have expressed similar interests. Contrary to what some people might think, gamers are actually very social and enjoy sharing their thoughts and opinions about the games they're playing, both to help others and themselves find new ones to play. The problem is, there isn't any go-to platform for the average person to do this currently. Options like Twitch and YouTube have a high barrier to entry. News websites like IGN are mostly just for professionals to share their thoughts, and Steam has the ability to write reviews, but they're buried under a ton of different information, and it's not super easy to share these reviews with friends. Now, because of these limitations with the current methods for finding and sharing things about games, we set out to create a new and unique app that would be a better option. We wanted to make a place for friends and the gamer community in general to cut out the fluff and get straight into what really matters when searching for new games, what the people playing them actually think. This would be a chance to make something different and fresh for gamers. Along with our idea, we established the following core user outcomes in order to make sure that what we were making would add value to our customers. They are to make it easier to use our platform to find games than traditional methods, to create a sense of community among gamers, and to find relevant game content from people other than the developers, paid news sources, or professional reviewers. With these outcomes in mind, we incorporated a number of features in our app that would help us to reach them. We started by creating different, straightforward game profiles, something that we haven't seen done elsewhere. Most competitors, like Steam, go for a maximalist approach, where each game has a plethora of information associated with it, but we wanted to focus on just the key game info, overall rating, and reviews. It can be overwhelming to have so much information about a game thrown at you when you just want to know a few things about it, so this was done in order to reduce the clutter and help gamers find the information that they really care about. Speaking of our reviews, we kept those streamlined as well. We've included an option to specify the number of hours a reviewer has played the game, a star rating selector, as well as a text box to write out thoughts in a more detailed manner. These reviews are stored on the game page as well as the corresponding user profile for any user to see and to read. Besides just listing reviews, the profile also has a high-level overview of the player, a profile picture, and their recently played games. We plan to expand the profile functionality in the future, but for now we wanted to continue with the pattern of keeping things clear, simple, and easy to digest. Our last core design feature was the game discovery page. This page features many different ways to find new games, including a game of the day, recommended games based on the machine learning model we created, top-rated games, new releases, most reviewed, and so on. It even includes search and filtering functionality to both find games as well as other user profiles. Together, these features help our users to find relevant and relatable content about games they have played or want to play in the future by emphasizing the peer-to-peer interactions over other sources of information. Be it from developers, paid news sources, or professional reviewers, no source of opinion is more powerful than that of friends or actual players. Now that we've talked about the features in some detail, we will move into the implementation and demonstration of Good Games.
So now I want to talk about the implementation of the app and how we incorporated some of those key design features into it. One of the first questions that we had to answer was whether we were going to build a website or a mobile app. And after doing some research, we found a couple websites that did a similar thing to Good Games, but we couldn't find any mobile apps. And we felt that for users, having a mobile app would make the whole process of finding a game a lot easier and quicker to use. The second thing that we have, and that's huge in our app, is our machine learning model and the recommendations that it gives to users. So with this, we have two machine learning models. One is a simple user item rating algorithm that will take in a user, look at the games they've played and what other users have played those games, and then compare the games that they have played and make recommendations based off of, okay, who also plays the games that I play and what do they play? The second algorithm is an algorithm that'll take in data for a specific game and give recommendations based off of categories such as the genre and the description of the game and how similar those games may be. And the biggest, and I think most important outcome of our machine learning models is that it creates this really unique experience for every user that comes to our app. The last thing that we used in our app is that we collected and trained on data, real data from Steam. And if you don't know, Steam is an online marketplace where users can buy games and also leave reviews. So we were able to pull data from their API and train our models on this data to make them even more accurate. We also were able to populate each of the game profile with reviews that people have already left in the past. And so when a user comes to our app, it's a more complete and full experience.
Thank you, Adri. Now we're going to watch a recorded demo of our app that was created by one of our users. This is the first time they've used the app, and we've given them a few tasks to accomplish.
Okay, this is the demo of the app Good Games. So I'm going to go and create an account. Well, not in all caps. So I'll just put in my name, username, and my email. And then a password. Then there's a cool loading animation, and it logged me in. So then I can go to add a game to my shelf on the homepage. I can scroll through these recommended games.
So we can see here that the recommended games for you section is placed on the homepage as one of the first things a user will see. Now, this aligns directly with one of our core user outcomes of facilitating better and more easy game discovery for our users. And this section itself is a product of our machine learning model. That's where these games are recommended.
And find one, maybe Hollow Knight. Look through some of its information, and then I can add it to my shelf. And if I go to my shelf, I'll see that that's added there. And if I go to search and filter, I can look through different genres and categories. I can search Euro. And click on Euro Truck Simulator 2. Look through its profile, ratings, genres, etc. And then I could go all the way to the bottom and write a review. Write something simple. This game is great. I really like it. Then I can give it 4 stars. Let's say I played 40 hours and post a review.
So we saw there that the review process for or the process for writing a review is very simple. It's also very intuitive, it's easy to find, and the reviews are quite prominent on the game profile view itself. This is another example of one of our core user outcomes at work. By allowing our users to connect with others by sharing their review and reading other people's reviews. And this helps create more of a sense of community, and again, aids with the game discovery, as you can see what other people thought about the game before you try it.
So then I can see that in the reviews. Then if I want to search, I can also search the game by the genre. And I can scroll down to sports and find any games I want. I'm looking for NBA. I can find it. Might have missed it. There's NBA 2K17. So I can find games that way, or I can go to by category. And I can do co-op if I'm searching for co-op games and go through and find a game I want. For example, Onward, look through its recommendations. So then beyond that, I can search a user. If I want to find friends to connect with, and I can search for Rocket Boy 1244 and see what games he's played, what's on his shelf, and the reviews that he's left. Finally, after doing all this, I can go to my profile, see recommended games, the shelf that I've saved in, the one review I've left. And I can also upload a new profile picture, just pick my first picture with me with my friends. So yeah, then I can see all the stuff on my profiles. So great app, everybody.
Thank you to that user that was willing to record that video for us. As you can see, that demo showed us that a lot of our core user outcomes are implemented in easy to use ways in our app. So next up, we're going to talk about the user testing that we did, both rounds of user testing, and a bit more on that.
Okay, now that we have an idea of the different functionalities of our app, we want to talk about our user testing and how we were able to apply the different feedback that we got from our testers. So the first round, we had 8 users, and at that point, our feedback was focused mostly on the core functionality of the app, the design, the usability, as well as gaining feedback for potential features that we had not yet included, but we wanted to get a head start on how we should implement them. Our second round, we had 10 user testers, and our feedback was focused primarily on the new designs from our first round, as well as different functionalities and core components to gain an overall understanding of how our app addresses the needs of our ideal customer profile. So we did notice with our testing that there were 2 different personas, the first being the avid gamer, the person that we're trying to focus on with the app, and the second being more of the casual gamer, or in some cases, someone who doesn't even play video games. And so we wanted to be able to distinguish between those 2 personas and their different uses and which one we're trying to cater our app to more, obviously, being the avid gamer. We saw that there are different use cases for the app, whether it be being able to connect with friends and being able to see what they're playing, or to just on a personal note, be able to keep track of games that you play and monitor, your wish list and things like that. So with our user testing, we were focused on our 3 main core components, the first being easy to find new games. So you'll be able to see between the first and the second round, we asked users how easy it would be to find new games to play, and we saw an increase in the score. The first round, at that point, we only had implemented the recommender model. But by the second round, we were able to get feedback on what other types of things would be helpful for finding new games to play. And we got feedback such as being able to search through games, being able to filter through them, and that's why we were able to see an increase in the score. Our second core component was being able to find relevant game content. So we primarily did that through reviews, and the first round that was not yet implemented. So we focused mostly on asking what would be most useful for finding reviews, what information would be most helpful. And because we were able to ask those questions, our second round, we were able to get a 4.7 out of 5 on average for that question. Our third core component was focused on gaining a sense of community among the gamers. And again, that was something that was not yet implemented in our first round, and definitely something that we even struggled with our second round with getting only a 3 out of 5. But we were able to get an idea on what users wanted to see in other users' profiles. They wanted to see what their friends were playing. They wanted to see the reviews that their friends left. And those were some feedback that we implemented after the first round. As far as general information about the app, we asked questions about general use, ease of navigating the app, as well as how visually appealing the app was. And you'll see on all 3 rounds that we were able to see an increase in our score between the first and the second round, meaning we were able to successfully implement the feedback that users gave and have an overall more successful app. So now let's talk about the specifics of what that feedback looks like. So other types of feedback that we haven't already talked about that we implemented from the first round includes the type of information that users wanted to be able to see on games. So some users specifically mentioned being able to see screenshots of games, and so that was something that we added, or additional information about the genres and the categories and things like that, as well as being able to filter through those so you can find games more easily. Another key thing that we changed between the first and second iteration was the color scheme. Originally, our app was purple, so it was definitely a major change, and we received a lot of positive feedback on that by the second round. And after our second round of user testing, we were able to get some insight to future implementations of how we'd want to change this app moving forward. One of them being able to include price, so users can monitor how much their game is and see when it's a price that they'd want to actually buy it. And the second being increasing the game selection. So as of right now, the games are primarily from Steam. It's not a lot of selections. So if this were to continue, we'd want to have much more variety of games and allow users to, thirdly, be able to filter reviews and see games from verified gamers.
All right. That about wraps it up. Thank you so much for watching our presentation and learning more about what Good Games is all about. We are really proud of the app that we've come up with and excited to see where we might go with this. We've received a lot of positive feedback and really great suggestions throughout our testing and along the way. And we are possibly looking into adding more features in the future, polishing up the app, and maybe even deploying it to the Apple App Store. So if you're interested, please stick around and hopefully we can give you more updates and you can see more of Good Games. We want to thank all of those people who've helped us throughout testing and giving us really great feedback. And of course, thank you again for watching our presentation.